Ladies and gentlemen, That's My Say 2.0 is proud to present Made in Tburg, sports talk for sports people. Coming to you from downtown Tillsonburg, Ontario. In our last episode, we talked about 10 players in the National Hockey League that would be likely traded between August 1st and July 1st, 2018. Now we're still waiting, tick, 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 but I'm sure something's about to pick up real soon. But that's not what we're here to talk about on this episode. We're going to talk about a few various things. Mayweather fight against Conor McGregor, Ezekiel Elliott's suspension for 6 games, the mega trade in the NBA involving Kyrie Irving and Isaiah Thomas. Upcoming NFL season, a little bit of a little tease to get you ready for the next episode, which will be an NFL season preview. Colin Kaepernick. He's never a dull moment now, is he, folks, anymore? But before I begin, I'd like to make mention That's My Say 2.0 now has a burger of choice. We're proud to represent and call A&W our burger of choice. I personally prefer the Buddy Burgers if I'm getting one of them, but they have lots of great burgers between the Mama Burger, the Grandpa Burger, and even the Teen Burger. The Matzo Burger is pretty damn good too, if you ask me. Anyway, on with the show here. It is my experience watching boxing for as long as I can remember, and even seeing old tapes and getting stories about how the great fighters before my time, which were the best of the best. You know, Rocky Marciano, Muhammad Ali, George Foreman, just to name a few, how great they were. Joe Frazier. With Floyd Mayweather, he's about to put his undefeated record on the line coming out of retirement to face a UFC fighter. Well, many of you may think that that's pretty crazy because, it's pretty badass to be able to compete in the UFC and with great success that Conor McGregor has. But this isn't just this isn't a fight, actually. And folks, if you're interested in a fight, don't buy this. Don't even think about buying this pay-per-view. You're gonna waste probably $100 on seeing something that might not last 2 rounds. There's no chance, in my view, Conor McGregor will beat Floyd Mayweather on Saturday, August 26th. It just doesn't seem in a boxing match the fighter can win. If this was just a straight up fight, I would have to give the edge to McGregor because, as you all know, I've never seen anybody box from the ground, whether it be traditional boxing or kickboxing, and a single double leg takedown might be it for a boxer. Ground and pound, submission, whatever you want. Generally, it's pretty much done for a boxer if he finds himself on the ground. So that's why I got to give the edge to Floyd Mayweather, even though I think he's a jerk. This is a sham fight at best, and it's unfortunate that a lot of us have to be subjected to this because it's not the fight that we want. We want a real boxer, and what I mean by that is Floyd Mayweather never, in his 49 victories, never fought great competition or even very good competition. His whole career, and I got to remind you folks, he came out of retirement for this fight here coming up on Saturday. He pretty much just decided he'd go for one more hurrah, like one more. Let's make it 50-0. And that's a great accomplishment, no matter who these people are. And I respect that. However, what does it mean when you didn't have any good real fighters? Like, I don't know how to quantify it. I want to say it should have maybe an asterisk right next to his record, because boxing's been dead for so long. And it's unfortunate because it's a great sport. If any of you know about boxing, you know that what I'm saying is probably accurate for the most part. And I know you boxing fans, the hardcores, will tweet at me and message me about that I don't know anything about boxing and defend some fighters, but realistically, and somebody will say, mention Manny Pacquiao, and I'm gonna tell you right now, really? You thought Manny Pacquiao was a great opponent when he faced Floyd Mayweather? Not a chance. Let's face it, that fight happened 5 years too late. If that was 5 years before that fight, I might have a different answer for you. Because Pacquiao was a pretty damn good fighter at one point. But he wasn't great either. He didn't have much competition in his weight class as well. And we all thought it would be the fight of fights when it did take place. At least for some of us, but let's be honest. Mayweather only fights when there's actual money involved. Pacquiao, who needed the money, took the fight. It meant more to Pacquiao to pay his debts and stay out of jail in his own country than it did for Mayweather to actually have this fight. Like there was a chance Mayweather was going to lose this thing. So here we are, Saturday night. The guy that is traditionally known for being a jerk is going to make hundreds of millions of dollars off the purse and the buy rate of the pay-per-view. McGregor's going to get a good chunk of change for his time. But all of us will feel ripped off. If you want to watch the Mayweather fight versus McGregor on Saturday night, my best advice for you is go out to dinner at like Boston Pizza or any establishment, bar, restaurant, you name it, that will be carrying this fight. Order some food. At least you'll have something of value because out of going to see this fight. I'd take the meal personally, but hey, what do I know? I'm going to skip this fight just because I'm not really interested. Just because I think I know what the result's going to be. My prediction is if it goes past the first round, it's just because they just want to put on a little show, keep the crowd excited, and more of a tease than anything. In the second round, McGregor will go down. I don't expect this a long fight. I expect a lot of dancing around in the first round. Just kind of like, basically for flash photography. Maybe a couple jabs here and there. You know, setting him up. Kind of like Ali when he just knew he was going to put somebody down sort of thing. Just called a shot. Only difference is it's not so much Mayweather calling a shot. It's just the reality of it is he's not facing a boxer in a boxing match. Coming up after the break, we're going to talk about the NFL and the NBA's latest trade. Stick with us. We'll be right back. We're back, folks, and coming up, we're going to talk about the NFL and Ezekiel Elliott's 6-game suspension. But first, I want to talk about the NBA. It's been no surprise that this trade has been coming. The NBA this offseason has been a circus of player movement, and they've all been pretty interesting ones because we're in an era where we build the super team, the big three, and see if we can win one. You've seen Chris Paul go off, play in Houston. You've got Paul George going off to Oklahoma, the team with Westbrook. That should be interesting. I don't see anybody beating the Golden State Warriors in the West. If anybody, I still think it belongs to. If anybody's going to top them off in the West, it's got to be San Antonio still. And then in Cleveland and in the Eastern Conference, we just witnessed a massive trade this last week. I'm talking about the Boston Celtics trading Isaiah Thomas and Jay Crowder to the Cleveland Cavaliers for Kyrie Irving. It's very interesting this offseason when Kyrie Irving stated that he wanted to be traded. He did not want to play with LeBron James anymore. That was like an aftershock of things to come, I think, as far as the nasty words and exchanges that's going to continue to flow later on as we get towards the NBA season. I think there'll be many jabs back and forth at each other. And it's kind of interesting because I don't think Boston got the better end of the deal. And here's why. We remember Kyrie Irving being selected first overall by the Cavaliers when LeBron James was playing in Miami, going to the finals and then losing in a few of them, winning a couple. Sorry, folks, I don't mean to laugh at that. Just as great as he is, I can't believe he's lost as many in the finals, as he's won. I mean, especially with these super teams that he started. Anyway, Kyrie Irving was a nice player. He had such raw talent, skills, and ability. But if only they could build a team around him. And then all of a sudden, LeBron James signs back in Cleveland. I'm home. Well, we knew whose team that was right away when LeBron James came back. It wasn't Kyrie Irving's team anymore. It might not have ever been Kyrie Irving's team, per se. I mean, because he hadn't really done a whole lot since he was drafted to prove it. Yeah, he had some good seasons. But you know what? On bad teams, there's always one bright spot. Example, Toronto Raptor fans can tell you that. Before Kyle Lowry, it was just DeMar DeRozan, who we all thought, you know what? I like this guy. He's got some talent. And we'll see. And that's what it was. Now, credit to DeMar DeRozan. He's put in the work, but yet he's still not a great player either. Kyrie Irving, however, has got way more talent coming into the league than what DeMar DeRozan had. And I don't know, like Danny Ainge, of the general manager of the Boston Celtics, I'm kind of surprised. Like, this deal I didn't think would be ever happen, because you traded the first overall pick in the NBA draft because you had your point guard in Isaiah Thomas. Like, why would I give the 76ers the best point guard in the draft if I had a great point guard? And I thought about it some more, and I'm thinking, well, maybe he's lost his mind. I mean, Stranger things have happened in the NBA. Phil Jackson once used to be revered as great. I don't think you can consider that anymore after his stint in New York. So when I think of the season Isaiah Thomas had and what he went through in the playoffs with the loss and the passing of his sister, the way he played through all of that, and the regular season alone, I think you could argue Russell Westbrook was the best player in the game last year. You can't argue that. He was the best player of the game. And right behind him was James Harden. But you can't tell me when it came time, like, if it wasn't for a massive season Westbrook had, you couldn't tell me that with Isaiah Thomas's season, he wouldn't be in the conversation for MVP. He'd probably get a few votes. Maybe not win it, but he'd get a few votes for sure. So you have an MVP caliber point guard. You trade him for Kyrie Irving, the guy that couldn't win before LeBron came back. And let me remind you, it was LeBron that came back. Kevin Love came in. Tristan Thompson was there. So there were pieces that were already there and coming that made the Cleveland Cavaliers as good as they were right away. But Isaiah Thomas and Jay Crowder, like, Crowder's a pretty good player himself. Like, he's no slouch. I mean, he's not going to win you an MVP or anything, but man, I like what he brings in his minutes. He plays quality minutes. So Kyrie Irving, to me, I think helped the Boston Celtics take a step back. He's going to look good on that team. And people think Gordon Hayward's going to have a great year, and I don't know about that. He was a good player in Utah. He wasn't great. Like, I think he's more overrated than what people think. Like, he's just a guy. I don't put him in that upper echelon. I would honestly put Kyle Lowry in that upper echelon of point guard or players before I would even think about Gordon Hayward. So, I mean, Boston, what the hell are they thinking? You just made it so you gave the Raptors the division and possibly going to the conference finals again against Cleveland again, because we know Cleveland's going to be there and they'll probably win. We'll see what happens come the NBA season. It should be very interesting to see. We're going to take another break, folks, and we'll be back, and we're going to dive right into the NFL. Stick with us, folks. All right, folks, we're back, and thank you, as always, for listening and tuning in. The NFL has not been as, busy as the NBA has in the offseason, but things are ramping up through the preseason here, and cuts are being made as we speak, day in, day out, after games. And we're getting closer and closer to September 7th, where kickoff begins again. I can't wait. I'm excited to see the New England Patriots take the field as the 5-time Super Bowl champs. And I want to express my interest in the Patriots for the simple reasons. I know a lot of you are going to say, well, they're cheaters and they shouldn't have won. That's just you being pissed off because your team didn't win. Because, folks, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. Look at the guys that took steroids in Major League Baseball. They pretty much all got away with it, too, didn't they? Except for the Hall of Fame votes. But at the end of the day, if you're Mark McGwire, could you live without being in the Hall of Fame? With all that money, all that success and fame, could you not live with it? Roger Clemens, he's even got championship rings, money, fame. Oh, and his kid's doing very well and he was just drafted recently. So things are looking pretty good for Roger Clemens, and yet he cheated. He may not ever get in the Hall of Fame. Still been a pretty good run for him, you have to admit. So when I think about whether they cheated and deflated the ball, which I don't know. I've listened to both arguments, and I think it's a sickening issue, really, because we're worried about the size of the ball and how much pressure was let out of it. Where it really probably didn't matter because it wasn't as much as people probably wanted to really complain about. Seriously. But to have somebody like Tom Brady who came out of nowhere, probably wasn't supposed to ever take a snap in the NFL. 6th round pick. 6. Too skinny. Couldn't fill out. Not likely good enough. And all he does is when he gets the chance, he finds ways to win. I don't know how you can not give the man credit for what he's done. And then Bill Belichick, is he human? He can't be. He's the machine, right? Does he even sleep? Sometimes I think he's like one of those vampires at a haunted house or whatever, or a castle, and he's just up stalking and praying and waiting to make his move. That's what I picture when I think of Bill Belichick. Just, so methodical and finds different ways to beat you every chance he can get. So, September 7th, the Kansas City Chiefs will play the New England Patriots on NBC. That should be a fun game to watch because Kansas City, I think, is one of those teams where it's like you got to make or break. The Chargers might be better. The Raiders, I think, are really... And we pretty much know every NFL season mostly which teams will look good. Some of them surprise us and look bad, and others look better because of it. But we generally know. We know the Patriots are going to be there. We know the Steelers are going to be there. And every now and then you get a surprise. I'm expecting the Tennessee Titans to surprise us all and take the division in the AFC South. But Colin Kaepernick... I've read people talking about and complaining about why other guys are getting jobs and Colin Kaepernick isn't. Well, to be fair, people, Colin Kaepernick had an option on his contract. He could have took It doesn't look good. Brian Hoyer is no good. We know that. And he smells like Cleveland. No offense, Cleveland. The Browns. Not you folks in Cleveland, but the Browns. And I feel bad for you really too, because I don't mean to slam the Browns. It's just been awful for you guys and it's hard to watch. I hope you guys actually do make the playoffs one of these years and have a good team. You guys deserve it. But Colin, he's blacklisted because it's a lesson to be learned of etiquette in the NFL. Were owners offended that he wouldn't participate in the national anthem? Probably not. But his stance on why he did what he did, I think, was a bother for the owners of the NFL. I think Roger Goodell were embarrassed. And one of the things you do in the NFL, if you're in the NFL, you're a coach, podcaster, employee, whatever it may be, you don't want to embarrass the NFL. You can be out pretty quickly. You take a tolerance for a lot of things in the NFL, which is strange because some of it is domestic violence and they can't get a handle on that. Some of it's suspending a player for deflating a ball with no actual proof. And they carry it out for 2 years. So the rules are the rules, and they are complicated because the NFL doesn't know what they're doing, except for when it comes to making money. So when you piss off the owners, they're going to help you lose money, lose your job. Folks, I can tell you right now, if I went into my job writing my paper and decided I was going to take up my own agenda where somebody might potentially be upset. We have a lot of patriotic people in my town of Tillsonburg. If somebody didn't stand for O Canada for some random reason, whether it be at a hockey game, Remembrance Day ceremony, which I would be ashamed if somebody didn't stand for that. So I'm one of those guys too. But for some reason, if I did all that, I would be I'd take a lot of heat for it, and I'd probably be embarrassing somebody that probably was either fond of me, had an appreciation and a respect for me, who gave me a chance, who employed me. You can't embarrass yourself in the public eye and expect the company you work for to support you on it, because they have their own standards and they're not going to care about issues, which is unfortunate because the issues of why Colin Kaepernick is doing what he's doing is very respectable. It's very honorable. And it's unfortunate. But he needs to grow up. Very talented football player. Time to grow up, Colin. Speaking of growing up, Ezekiel Elliott. Man, I love watching Ohio State. He was electric, man. Like, and to have him wind up in Dallas, I almost thought it was like having the second coming of Emmitt Smith. Now, I know some of you Emmitt Smith fans are going to be pretty pissed off when I say that, but Elliott's the real deal talent-wise. He really is, and so was Emmitt. And the way they carried this with the talent on the field was just unremarkably, like, they're very parallel to each other. But then he did a very, very stupid thing. Folks, I especially kids can't learn their lesson from others. I don't think Ezekiel Elliott's lived under a rock the last few years when Ray Rice and other NFL players were suspended. Some other altercation of violence. So Ezekiel Elliott should have learned his lesson. He I don't know why you have kids coming into the league who admire and watch football on a regular basis of others. Players stop it. There's no use for it in society. And you, as a role model, should change your ways. Children, others. You got to be the reason why we make the world better. You're influential, so stop it. All these guys just need to think about it before they do something stupid. His talent is going to cost, or his action, is going to cost his talent and his team probably the first quarter of the season. Ezekiel Elliott probably makes that Dallas Cowboys team close to a perfect team in the first 6 weeks, should he play these 6 games. But instead he'll be suspended for his role in domestic violence. He has appealed. I'm not so certain he's going to play. I think this is going to stand because the NFL made an initiative, because they screwed up with the Ray Rice incident, to get it right. I don't know how it's right, but I also think that this is a better step than not punishing him and punishing the player before it's at the best. I think Dallas Cowboy fans, your season's not ruined. I think the Cowboys are still going to be a playoff team. They're still going to win your division, the NFC North. Pardon me, folks. I'm confused. They're not a Super Bowl contender with them. I think they're a few pieces away. But I like where they're going. You just need your running back to not hit women. That would be the first start. Which is strange, too, because, as a boy, I couldn't recall a time where the Dallas Cowboys didn't have somebody getting arrested and punished. And then they were awful the last little while. Their talent didn't meet the expectation because they weren't good, and the expectations is always high when you're America's team. I called that the Tony Romo era. That was the worst era in Cowboy history. I know there's a few Tony Romo fans that are going to be upset with me for that remark, but I don't care. It's the truth. Dak Prescott, it was impressive in his first season. Yeah, he could have a sophomore jinx, but the talent around him and the protection I think he'll have says that I think he's going to have a better season than he did last year. And he has 6 weeks to be a better passer, to have Darren McFadden more involved in plays. Keep in mind the just how to work this. We're going to take another break. We'll be right back. We're back, folks, and just in time. We're about to get into our last segment of the show. Thanks again, folks, for tuning in and listening. This is episode 2. We plan on doing way more made in Tburg. Next week, we're going to have an NFL preview. Basically, I'm going to have a rundown of what I think, who's going to make the playoffs, like who's going to win their divisions, and who the playoff teams will be. I'm going to have a Super Bowl prediction here, one you might be really surprised in. It's going to be a really interesting doozy of a pick, because some of you don't think we'll see coming, but we'll see if I could be wrong. And I don't think we're going to get into too much other than just getting you set for the NFL season to kick off just before the Patriots and Chiefs Thursday night. So, back to football, though. Le'Veon Bell is an interesting. Either for a big contract or to get the hell out of Pittsburgh. Unfortunately, it's disappointing to say that he'll get the hell out of Pittsburgh, but I think this has been a little hostile when it comes to negotiations. And I have to ask me, it's like, will he be ready come week 1? Well, I think Le'Veon Bell has no issue running a ball. He'll be ready week 1. I don't think the guy's in bad shape at all. I think the question mark is Ben Roethlisberger. If he takes a hit in week 1, what happens? An ugly hit, because we all know the love of the game he's clinging to. Like he's gonna have a hard time walking, I think, if he doesn't. He's a man's man. He takes the hits. He makes plays. He's what you dream about in a quarterback if you didn't have Tom Brady, I think. A couple. He's a prototypical guy that you want because he's a pocket passer. He's a big guy, so you can see over guys. He's got great strength, strong, hard to take down. So when he gets hit, hurts because it's hard to take a big guy like that down. And you don't see it a lot, but he can sneak off and run around and grab you a few yards when needed. So I think the biggest issue will be the Pittsburgh Steelers keeping Ben Roethlisberger on the field more than Le'Veon Bell coming back or not coming back. I think Antonio Brown needs to shut the hell up too. Like, he essentially Belichick didn't need a plan. Teams Le'Veon Bell had a big mouth like Antonio Brown talk. I just fueled those guys up more. So Brown needs to shut up and just play ball because he's really good when he plays ball. The Cincinnati Bengals are an interesting story as well to me. They got a quarterback that can't win on prime time. He's got okay numbers from time to time, but I don't think he's as good as the backup quarterback. I'm waiting. Plays an NFL style in the college game, and he knows how to get his guys prepared. So I don't think it's a surprise for a quarterback in the NFL when he comes out of Tuscaloosa. I think it's like, know your role, be safe with the ball, go win. You know, it's that simple. And let's be honest, Crimson Tide does that very well, don't they? They'll probably be good enough to play public service announcement, though. If many of you are going out to watch the fight with friends, don't drink and drive. Be safe. I wanna hear you guys listening, or talking about the fight, or I want to make sure I want to hear you guys. Be safe. Don't drink and drive. And if you wanna make a comment, always leave a comment on the page. Tell me what you thought of the fight, whether even if I'm wrong. If you want to just you know nothing, you got it wrong, by all means you're welcome to do so. And if you'd like, you can stop off on Facebook and hit the like button on the That's My Say 2.0. We have lots of interesting features there, like this day in hockey, this day in baseball, and other news and notes every now and then from the world of sports that just kind of makes things interesting. So next week, we're gonna, like I said, we're going to talk about a season preview of the NFL. We're gonna get you set for the season, tell you who's gonna win their division, who's likely gonna be in the playoffs, and I'm gonna give you a Super Bowl matchup prediction. So folks, thank you, and have a lovely week. Good night.